The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, and J.M.
Good morning.
What's up, brother? Oh,
look at you.
Look at this.
Yeah, we're trying a different part of the house today.
You sound really good.
Like it?
As
Plus, I can't be in the front of the house. All the construction's going on at LOS, so...
As opposed
all you'd hear is backhoes back. Beep, beep, beep.
I don't think you can say that anymore.
What's your hat?
You don't know?
Enlighten me. Educate me.
Yeah, let's see if some of the listeners and viewers can figure it out. I think I'm going to be like Madam Albright. What's her name?
Madeleine Albright?
Madeline.
Secretary of State under Bill Clinton?
She would wear a brooch. Depending on the brooch she wore, that was her mood. Have you heard that?
No, I did not.
There
I
you
learned
go.
Something new from you.
There you go.
I was thinking, who was that singer in the... Is it Neil Young wore a hat like that?
No. Well, maybe he did.
Terrence Trent D'Arby?
No, I don't think so.
That's really stretching. Okay. Well, nice hat.
I don't know where to begin in this mess. Those that fail to study history are doomed to repeat it, Joe.
Phrase I use a lot.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks for backing me up. So 3 years ago, I just went back to what's nice about a podcast, you can go back and, see what the hell was going on. And a bunch of ironies are playing out. I have more work to do, but all the stuff that is happening, Skoo Walker, one of the hosts of the show.
I ran into Skoo last night at the Ward 3 meeting at Coroya.
Oh, nice.
Which is, I want to talk about the Ward 3 meeting because I think there's some
go
context.
Ahead.
Well, all this business about these malcontents, whatever you want to call them, with the transparency group.
0.5%ers.
Yeah. 2%ers, because it's the 98% approval rating from the residents.
No. Hold on. Before you go, how many voters are there in Lake Forest, Joe?
I should know this. I know there's 16,000 residents. I don't know the voter count.
Here, hold on. Let me
off the top of
see.
my head.
I did a quick look. Give a conservative.
I'm going to say 7,000.
Okay.
Just again, I think the population, if I'm not mistaken, is 16,000. So I'm going to guess 7 or 8,000. I mean,
you know what? Do you want to pull up on your?
I would be very bad. I'd be a very bad contestant on The Price is Right.
Well, the beautiful thing about podcasts, you can edit them in certain cases.
Or you can put up a blurb saying Joe was wrong.
Can you look it up and just give me the number?
Registered voters in Lake Forest. Can't be 18,000. It says 18,000. That can't be right. Population of the city in 2022 was 19,252.
Yeah.
So there can't be 18,000 voters out of 19,000. That's way too high a ratio. All right, we'll have to check. We'll have to check with Clerk. We'll have to check with Clerk Vega. He'll get you the number.
Can you say 10,000? Can we just say 10,000?
Yeah, because that's because you did your math on 10,000.
No, I'm just trying to simplify it to get.
No.
To get to my point here. All right, so you got 10,000. Do you have a calculator by you?
I do.
257. That's how many people showed up to vote. Divided by 10,000 is what?
0.0257%.
So that's
2.57%.
Okay, so that's what?
So you round that make 3%.
Okay. So 3% of the people show up. I'm trying to back my way into some math here just to simplify things.
I know where you're going now.
Okay, where am I going?
That this did not represent the community, this vote.
Community community doesn't give a crap.
Well, look, I've talked to a number of people about what happened.
257?
It was the week after spring break. There was a school board meeting going on that night. Look, and I think a lot of caucus people will admit, I think they got caught with their pants down. Or not, that's not a good phrase. Take that back. They got caught. They got caught sleeping, basically.
Dude, Joe.
And let me finish though.
Go ahead.
The result was, and the transparency group was prepared. They had their Facebook ads going, which again, I'd like to know who's paying for that. State Board of Elections, Internal Revenue Service, 501c3, a lot of questions there. But Caucus really just kind of sent an email out and posted a couple things on Facebook. I think, and I wasn't around. I mean, I lived here, but I wasn't around when they had the vote at Gorton to ratify Randy as the mayoral candidate. So I don't know if the same thing happened where they got caught sleeping at that meeting. But clearly, one group was out hustling the other. That said, I don't think it represents the majority of the community. But to your point of saying most people don't care, yeah, most people don't care because, again, it's inside stuff, right? It's just like when I had a guest on a few weeks ago, we had a guest on, and I brought up the Lake County Republican chairman election that's coming up. You're like, it doesn't matter. Who cares? And a lot of people are like, I don't care who, most people don't care who the vice president is of the caucus or the president of the caucus. They don't care about that stuff. All right. And the reason I brought up the Ward 3 meeting last night was everyone in that room that came to the meeting, and it was a decent crowd, but everyone in that room, there were questions about little things going on here and there, and the stuff that municipal officials are used to getting. And it was the alderman and the department heads handled it extremely well. I mean, you got Jim Preschlack and Era Goshgarian are my aldermen, and Jim is terming out in a few weeks, and Era will be terming out next year. But those guys know their stuff. And they had, Kathy Zerniak and Jason Wicca and the police chief and the fire chief, both of whom are going to be retiring soon, by the way. I didn't know the fire chief was also retiring. But good meeting, all right? And everybody walked away. There may have been a disagreement about some project here or there. I know there's some disagreement in our neighborhood about the Eloa Farm parking lot expansion. But it was a civil meeting and everybody got along, and there wasn't any high dissatisfaction. Okay. So my point here is the city is doing its job. The mayor and the aldermen are doing their job. Okay. They are leading a terrific staff, but they are giving the direction to the staff. They're not micromanaging the staff like a couple previous aldermen that are associated with the transparency group tried to do. They let the staff do their job, but they give the general big picture direction. And this city's going in the right direction, and it has always gone pretty much in the right direction because of the caucus system that we've had since the 1930s. So for this group of 100 people that showed up for a 1-hour period at Gorton Center on a rainy night to then take charge of the city, basically, or to hold the city hostage with this no vote. It would be like, what if Congress had voted no on January 6th, 2021? But I'm saying, what would have happened? What's the result of this no vote? Okay. What would have been the result of a no vote on January 6th, 2021 by Congress if they had said, you know what, we're not going to certify the election? What would have happened? It would have been total chaos. And that's what these guys are ending up causing, is chaos. Okay.
People don't care.
Right. They don't until they have to.
Okay. So 257.
Nobody cared about the Electoral College, Pete, until it mattered.
Hey, Joe, you can't win an argument by talking louder than the next guy.
I'm just saying.
Republican Joe. 250.
I consider that a compliment, by the way.
250. Okay. 257 people show up, of which 132 represent the other side. City survey says 98% of the people are happy, but they're not happy enough to come out and support the system that made them happy. So I'm disappointed in Lake Forest. Okay. I'm disappointed for the caucus members didn't even vote, Joe.
There are several caucus members that got some splaining to do.
More than several.
And why didn't everyone that's on the caucus should have brought at least 5 friends?
My own family did.
If they had done that, they would have won.
Well,
I brought my wife.
So
I could have brought other people myself, but I mean, but again, the transparency people are buying these Facebook ads, all right, and running a campaign with dark money, and the caucus is
report them.
But we'll talk about that another show.
Yeah.
But listen, that phrase, they bring a knife to the fight, you bring a gun, from the Untouchables. Well, who brought the gun to Gorton Center?
No, it was like
they were better prepared. The transparency people were better prepared for that meeting. They brought their people.
They were the tallest midget of a representation of Lake Forest. And I did say midget because I know midgets and they want to be called midgets.
But I'm just saying that they outworked the caucus at this meeting. But does that represent what this community feels? Hell no. Absolutely not.
Absolutely.
And the proof of that was the election of we just celebrated the 1-year anniversary of Randy Tack getting elected. So clearly, when you get into a real election with absentee voting and early voting, and not this 1 hour must be in person thing at Gorton Center on a rainy night, caucus wins hands down.
Mess has been going on. 3 years ago is when Skoo and I first started talking about it, the missing bylaws, and who I am pretty damn well convinced Sheila Henretta, the self-proclaimed expert on bylaws, had every opportunity because having every opportunity while the door was open to correct some things, and she didn't. Right?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, you've documented that pretty well over
so
the time and some of those shows you did with Skoo back in the day.
so I guess how about a referendum? Should we have a caucus? Because again, I hate pointing the fingers, and for 3 years we've been offering up suggestions and solutions. Okay, and I'm going to start posting some of this old stuff just so we can go back and see if this is prophetic or not. But look, whoever is the vice president becomes the president, and we had a bad run of presidents. Okay, now we got a good one. Okay, we had a bad run. Sheila Henretta, who this mess all started with, okay, when the bylaws were open, that turned into Mike Adams, that turned into Kim Phahl, that turned into David Hunt. But all these people were offered solutions, and this stuff was pointed out way before this transparency group. And the ironic thing, Joe, is one of the people, Susan Saylor Daly, who's one of the pillars of this group, she was my boss who I offered solutions to make changes, and she told me to pipe down.
What do you mean your boss?
She was the ward chairman
Oh,
in the
okay.
first ward.
Okay.
And then she gets to the executive committee and she quits.
But now she's on the board of the transparency group.
Is it really a board?
Or whatever? I don't know. She was on their podcast. If you listen,
so I am
need some trouble
convinced
sleeping at night, listen to it.
if Lake Forest doesn't care enough to come out and vote to preserve the system that they're 98% in favor of, the good times we're having in Lake Forest, these other people, I am convinced, want to turn Lake Forest into Highland Park. Because isn't that what happened with Highland Park?
Or Northbrook.
Well, stick with Highland Park
Yeah.
because that's what rotering is. But they had a caucus system, right?
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Okay. And now what has it turned into?
But and the reason I use Northbrook as the example, Pete, is years ago there was a caucus and it was bipartisan. So one party didn't control the city and stuff, and gradually the Democrats basically took it over and put it in name only. And if you wanted to be mayor of or village president of Northbrook, you had to get the blessing of the local Democratic organization and all this. And now, but the result of that is you're getting crazy policies in Northbrook now that, like, 10-cent bag tax, paper or plastic. Any bag you get at a store, got to pay a 10-cent tax. So, people say, oh, this doesn't matter.
That bag thing really gets to you.
Well, because it's a stupid idea. And, when the election was going on last year between Randy and Prue, people said, oh, it doesn't matter who the mayor is. It doesn't matter, and I'm like, yeah, it does matter. And here's an example of it. Okay.
A better example, Joe. You know what? Nobody
that
cares
affects everybody.
Nobody cares
you want
about
to pay 10 tax. You want to pay 10 cents a bag at Jewel? I don't.
I'll go to I go to Kenosha to
you'll go to another city. Great. So the city loses the sales tax revenue. So another reason it's a stupid idea.
Okay. Let's get some. Look, I don't want to pay 10 cents a bag, but what do you always say? Bearing the lead. The lead is, look at what's happening in Highland Park right now. Okay. You have a board that is whacked. You have a small businessman that's getting torched by somebody that he's too popular, or was too popular, by Nancy Rotering, who will be the queen of Highland Park forever because she can't go anywhere else. We're going to have that with a Prue Beidler clone. Insert Melanie Rummel, insert, Karras, one of those two. And we're going to run into that same issue here. Watch, in 3 years, we're going to have that. That's what's going to happen. Because
and you're going to see, then you're going to see businesses like Gerhardt's being intimidated because they put up a tax sign in their window.
Yeah. So that's
And
what's
all these businesses that are now coming into Lake Forest and into the central business district are going to be like, yeah, no thanks.
so to me, that's a bigger issue. To me, I think that Nancy Rotering, the left, liberal, and please, I'm using buzzwords, but to me, it's all mounts up to anti-business. And about 98% of the businesses in the United States are small business. Okay,
It's true.
that's what makes the engine run here. Okay. And when you have something that's anti that, uh, you go, like I said, you go elsewhere and you have your storefronts become art galleries.
That brings in a lot of sales tax revenue.
Yeah. So, so I think people don't care till they have to care. And on the flip side, maybe we're making a much ado about nothing because the way the bylaws are written, you can't really do anything anyways.
Well, here's the dilemma that they're in now. Okay. They need to change the bylaws to solve issues, but they can't get a 60% vote to change anything. So if you want to say, hey, we want to open this up to absentee voting, so anybody can vote by mail and not have to show up at Gorton Center,
Oh,
you would
oh.
need a 60% vote
Way to go,
um,
Turkla.
to do that. So I don't think anything can get through without a 60% vote.
So
And
basically,
by the way, I want to point something else out about that vote at Gorton.
yeah,
So how many people, you just gave the numbers of how many people voted. How many people, because that's supposed to be the annual meeting, okay? I sent you that picture of the annual meeting going on down the hall. You know how many people actually bothered to take the time and go to the annual meeting and listen to the discussion and participate in the discussions?
over under 10.
15 by
Okay,
my count.
the over. Okay.
I'll send you the picture again if you want to use it here. But um, if you're going to have this as part of an annual, if you're going to say, hey, you got to come to Gorton, then maybe they ought to make it where you have to sit and listen to the meeting first before you vote and understand. Like the aldermen, they don't just vote on stuff, they deliberate. Whenever there's a public meeting, the thing gets presented. So sometimes it's routine stuff like passing the minutes or paying the bills, whatever. But they deliberate and they discuss an issue, and residents can come forward and discuss it, and then they take the vote. So maybe they should do that with the caucus meeting. Like, hey, you can't just run in and vote. Okay. You've got to sit and listen to this discussion. Raise your hand if you want to talk about it. Now, that might make it till a freak show till 10 o'clock at night. But it, I think people came in there. What's the point of having an annual meeting if only 15 people come to the annual meeting and however many hundred vote on what was discussed at the annual meeting? I mean, at that point, you should just go vote by mail.
I Sheila Henretta, Susan Saylor Daly, Trkla, who has never served on anything other than the Wrigley's board directors. He came in hot. I don't think with the way the bylaws are written, you can't do any. Can you really do anything with them? Okay, so it got voted down. So what? What is there anything in the bylaws?
Well, like I said, that's the whole thing. So in order to be the president, you had to have been the vice president,
Yeah,
right? So there's only, but under the bylaws, one person in the city eligible to be the president now. And
yeah,
that's Joe Arridy because he's
yeah.
the vice president.
Right.
So if you vote that down, like I said, that's like Congress voting down the election results on January 6th. What the hell would have happened?
Sheila, why didn't you fix that? Or was it open? I got to go back in time because there was a guy before her, Chris something, that I think it's Chris, I don't know. But look, again, there was a period of time where the bylaws were down for a period of months. I'm going back because this is all recorded. And I hate to wear an aluminum foil hat. I'm wearing this one now, but but it just seems to me like all this stuff is happening, and then all these same people are kind of like banding together. Kim Phahl, you don't hear from her at all. She didn't show up.
Is her name really Phahl?
I think it's Canadian, yeah, Phahl. And she didn't show up. I don't know if Adam showed up. Maybe he passed his vote.
I don't know. Is there do they check names off when they vote? So that
No, you get the piece of paper as documented here by me.
Wait. Okay, go.
Hey, where's the
Gus, what are you doing, dude?
These sanitized? I'm not sure. Do you know? Which one am I supposed to pick? Yes, I hate the transparency. Yes, they are not a 501c3 charity.
Either box.
Either box works. Thank you so much for coming out. Keep the rate. Can you clearly see? Is that the right vote?
I think that's against the law to show your ballot.
Taking the vote, so you can see what I voted for.
Yeah. You could have come back, though they would have all recognized you.
So it's one of two things, and neither two things are good. It's either there's something going on or there's incompetence, and we're relying on 43 people, which is very hard to get 43 people because now the brand is even. Would you want to volunteer? You would, but when you hear all this crap that's
but you're right. The caucus is here. Look, you have to make tough decisions when you're in a position of authority, right?
Yeah.
But when you get into this whole neighbor versus neighbor thing and all the crazy stuff on social media now and stuff, a lot of good people are like, thanks, but no thanks. I'll volunteer at the church.
Yeah. So it's, if you want to have a representation of the city's wants and needs, 257 people don't represent it. So one of the suggestions, I went back in time, I got to go again, but one of my things was, you know what? Just hire a recruitment firm and pay money, pay a little bit more, $500,000 a year, just to fill all the spots.
$500,000?
Yeah.
Where does that money come from?
From us. We got it.
The taxpayers?
Absolutely.
Oh, great. So now our taxes have to go up.
Yeah, still have the lowest taxes around, but we don't have all this wasted energy, and you can have all these people could volunteer mother's trust.
I just think that people in Lake Forest need to wake up and realize that a small group of people are trying to take over their city when there's no reason. Because again, whether it's a ward meeting or the elections or life in general, people are pretty darn happy in Lake Forest. And the proof is in that.
Lazy.
Well, look, people you get spoiled, Pete. It's like the kid that always has food on their table every night, doesn't appreciate the work that the parents have to do to pay for the food. Okay.
Sounds like Lake Forest money.
I mean,
Lake Forest is built by a bunch of right wingers who took all the risk, built up their
I don't know about that.
Well, no, but hear me out. When you were a startup businessman, you tell me how many Democrats are startup businessmen. You can't be, because there is no, hey, it's everybody's the same. No, it's not. I'm fighting for survival every day. Okay. That's what Lake Forest started with. And then you had the kids who didn't have to take that risk. And this is what you get. 257 people showing up. Prue Beidler's just waiting in the wings.
I mean, yeah, you can certainly
Rummel.
go back and trace the history of the Beidler family and all the money they made off the lumber yards. And I bet whoever started it had a different attitude of business and economics than Prue probably does. You could say the same thing about J.B. Pritzker. I mean, his family started a hotel chain, Hyatt, and I'm sure that the people starting that hotel chain had a very different approach to business than Governor Pritzker does, who's running every business out of this state.
So here we go. We're going back to the same thing. It's all about, is it a fair representation? Well, 257 people of 10,000 or it could be 18,000, Joe, right?
I don't know if that number's right. So we should check with Clerk Vega.
Okay. That's on your homework list.
I'll
But
send him an email.
it's not important enough to the people. To me, that's a referendum that we don't need it anymore. We don't want it. That's what we don't want it.
Or is it a wake up call for people to realize, hey, we've got to get involved here before these 2%ers become 100%.
Not even 2%. It's a quarter of a
Yeah.
percent. But
I mean,
a quarter percent,
they can't give me an issue. I want an issue. What's the issue that you're upset about? Other than you don't like that they picked Prue Beidler over that they picked Randy Tack over Prue Beidler.
If they say
I can't find a serious issue. Some people are upset about CBD and the business district being developed, but again, you go 2 blocks away from that, people will think it's a great idea. People upset about the train over by Lake Forest Academy, but again, I can't find a citywide issue that people are up in arms about that justifies changing what we've got here.
We're lazy, complacent, and now you're going to get this left-leaning Democrat. Now I'm using these buzzwords, but I just look at Highland Park.
Well, I want to be clear. The caucus has Democrats, okay? Eric Oshkarian is a Democrat. So this is not a partisan
He's
thing.
a Democrat that runs a business. He gets it. He gets it. His business, his degree, okay? His risk, okay? So that's a lot different.
But I don't want, just as I don't want Lake Forest or the caucus to be controlled by the Democratic Party, and yes, I am a Republican, I don't want it to become controlled by the Republican Party either. I don't want it to where you can't be involved in the caucus because you're a Democrat. I don't want that, because that's just as wrong as the other way.
If you got to pick your poison, I want whoever favors the small businesses more, because that small businesses are vital to America.
Absolutely. And that's why issues matter. And that's why it mattered that Randy Tack beat Prue Beidler, because I think you would have seen small businesses harassed like Gerhardt's because they put up a tax sign in their window. You would have seen a 10-cent bag tax.
So let me ask you this.
Mandatory composting like Skokie is starting to do. Because
Skokie
was the only other town that had twice a week garbage pickup. And they just scrapped it, no pun intended. They got rid of it. It's down to once a week. And they are very open in saying, we are doing this because we want people composting instead of throwing out their trash. Okay. If you want to compost, great. God bless you. But that should not be forced upon us by the government.
Joe, let's go to the Prue thing. Why are they pissed? I think, didn't Prue say, well, I'm a woman, you should elect me? Wasn't that what the deal was? Okay.
That was something, but then again, when the woman ran for governor named Judy Bart Topinka, she gladly supported Rod Blagojevich. Well, I just went there because it's BS whenever she said that it should be a woman, because
Joe, I went there because I resigned because the caucus president, Kim Phahl, pushed a woman, Nancy Novit, to be alderman of Ward 1. I resigned because of it. Okay. So if Prue Beidler is saying that the caucus is a system that is anti-women, okay, I was part of it when it was anti-men. Okay. So that isn't, what is her other, so it's not a gender thing. Okay. And I'll put a link to that past, I resigned. It was a great show for its time. But what is Prue's other issues that's causing this uproar from the L4QTB? So take the gender out of it. Any other things she's pissed about because Randy won?
Well, first of all, the gender issue is nonsense because, like, for example, Jim Preslak is terming out as alderman in the 3rd Ward, and the new alderman is going to be Alice Levert. All right. And they picked Alice. They didn't pick Alice because she was a woman. They picked her because she was the best candidate to pick. She's got a great experience here in the community and business and experience in business. So,
well, she didn't finish her school board term, which kind of, I don't know.
That happens. I mean, you can't serve on both boards. So
no, you need more people to volunteer to choose from, because Look, no breath
Her
is better
term was ending anyways in 25, so 1 year early.
like Karras. Oh, she only did 1 year.
Well, Karras, yeah. Did she ever find her cell phone? I think it was an iPhone because she has a Mac address, I'm told. And
Yeah.
you can use Find a Friend, Alderman Karras, and find your lost cell phone for that deposition.
They are. I do have faith that Lake Forest is more of a conservative town, and I think there's nothing in
It's
the.
a fiscally conservative town, definitely.
Okay.
Absolutely. On fiscal issues, yes. Social issues, no. But fiscal issues, yeah, it's pretty conservative.
But this caucus thing needs to be. It's the best game in town, and it needs to be tweaked, and it can't be tweaked anymore because you can't get 2/3 of the people to.
But you didn't need 2/3 last week at the vote at Gorton. You just needed a simple majority, and they missed it by 7 votes. I think that this is the caucus in trouble? Yes. Is the caucus doomed? No. I think that if people wake up and realize that this little group is trying to take over the city for no good reason other than they didn't get picked in gym class, as you like to say.
Well, they're all people that had a position of influence and decided to do nothing, pointing to Susan Saylor Daly, right?
Yeah, look, I wasn't here when all that went down, but I'm relying on what you've said. And
well, no, you can rely.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the link right here to the podcast that directed to it, and you can hear for yourself.
Yeah.
So
it's a good question. Why was it that when they led, they didn't fix it, and now there's a problem? I mean, if you really want to I'll put my tinfoil hat on for a second.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the miniseries Designated Survivor with Kiefer Sutherland?
I got through 6 episodes. Yes.
All right. Well, basically, a bomb goes off in the Capitol during the State of the Union, and the president and the Congress and most of the cabinet is killed, except for Kiefer Sutherland, who's the designated survivor, and he becomes. But then there's a senator or a congressman that somehow survives, and he becomes the vice president. Okay. And it turns out everybody thought this was like a Middle East terrorist thing and all that. It turns out it was all internal, an inside job. And this guy was put in a special room to survive the blast, but looked like he survived a blast and become a hero. And it was all plot to take over the government. Now, I'm not insinuating that these people are planting bombs or trying to kill people or anything like that. But when they were in a position of authority, they caused some of the issues that are happening now and exploding on the caucus in the city.
Susan Saylor Daly, I already brought her up. Jennifer Karras, who quit. When you're an alderman, you're in a position of influence, aren't you? She quit because she didn't have the time to do the job, yet she has the time to run her trans website.
Transparency, yeah.
Right? So she has time to do that. Trkla never volunteered for anything. Nothing. Zip. Who's the other one? There's a 4th one in there. So
back on their December 7th podcast, where they said it was they were a 501c3, yet they've yet to file the 501c3.
You know what? Hey guys, I'm reporting you. How's that? How you like that? I don't know how.
Neither do I. That's the problem. But if you go to the IRS website and you do a 501c3 lookup, it's not there. And yet on December 7th of last year, they recorded a podcast that said they are a 501c3. So show me the paperwork. And more importantly,
Trkla lied? Trkla lied?
More importantly, show me the money. Because again, I think they don't want to show the money because one of their biggest donors was probably Prue Beidler or her husband Frank. And therefore, they cannot then legitimately say they weren't involved in the mayoral election, but they were funded by a mayoral candidate. So I think they're caught in a trap here. And maybe I'm wrong. Again, Trkla, come on the show or even just write me a letter or write me an email. Tell me I'm wrong. But you probably won't come on. But the caucus, the caucus discloses every penny it spends. Okay. You know, how the caucus spends money.
Well,
Yet
they're a
this transparency,
political action committee,
but this
which I
transparency
question.
group doesn't show where they got the money or how they spent the money. What did they do with these ads? Who did they hire? Did they hire that Digital for Dems guy? All sorts of stuff. And even Prue herself with her own campaign committee, she waited until like election day to disclose how
Is it
her
a
money.
violation for them to do those Facebook ads to get people to come out and vote? Isn't that political action right there?
Political action. So you really should be a registered political committee with the Illinois State Board of Elections.
Okay.
All right. But you don't have the chutzpah to call yourself transparency when you're anything but transparent in your own operations.
We have 130 people versus 120 people. Not even that much. Okay. Causing all of this. And at the end of the day, when you go to the rules, it doesn't matter because you can't do anything anyways. Great job, Sheila, bylaw expert. It was wide open. You're such an expert, Sheila. Why didn't you fix it? She's one of those trans people, right? Political or
I think you got to say the full word, Pete, transparency.
transparency.
Otherwise, you're getting into an issue you don't want to get into.
I'm having a hard time with the acronym or whatever they use, but she's one of the pillars, and it's another person in influence that could have fixed this and didn't. Susan Saylor could have fixed things and didn't. Trkla couldn't do anything except chew gum and wipe his nose. Okay. And that fourth one, I don't remember.
Such a memorable impression that you can't remember them. Well, I think that was the part where you nodded off during their podcast, right? You needed a...
No, it's not about nodding off. I'm questioning myself because I'm going back. I'm rehashing the same stuff 3 years ago with Skoo, and nothing gets done. I would never be good for politics because I just, my patience is waning.
Well, sometimes it takes an event like what happened last week to
do nothing.
Wake people up. Look, there was a problem. Look, you go back in history. You talk about history repeating itself, all right? The U.S. waited and waited and waited, and then Pearl Harbor happened, and we got into World War II too late. We should have gotten in there earlier, all right? 9/11.
You needed it to happen. You needed it to happen.
All the warning signs were there for years about the Middle East and Osama bin Laden and all that, yet it took a 9/11 for it to happen. And again, I don't want to compare what the transparency
but it's
are to
isolationism.
anything terrorist
like everything's
or
fine.
violent attacks, but sometimes it takes an event like this to wake people up and realize, hey, our quality of life is going to go down if these people get control of the city, because they're going to put in really dumb ideas and they're going to raise taxes. So we're going to be a high tax town and tax our bags. And
Melanie Rummel, who's
cops will be quitting because they don't want to work for an anti-cop mayor.
Anti-cops, anti-business. That doesn't fly. But okay, Randy's out, Melanie Rummel's in. What do we got?
Oh. Yeah, you got an hour to talk?
Well, no, the problem that you have is
go back and look at her record. Look at her.
Joe, go.
Let's see if she runs, and then we'll talk.
Okay, she's going to run.
There's a lot. There's a lot there.
She's going to run. And the problem is the power of the mayor is you can reject all the caucus people. So that's the other thing. They can put all their money in to get a mayor in there and reject all the caucus people and only accept the ones that they want.
Because it's all happened. If Prue had won, that could have happened.
Yeah. Except for the elected positions, the mayor accepts the appointments that the caucus recommends, and you get that stuff voted down. There you go.
Well, you want to talk about what could happen if she became if there was another Mayor Rummel? Well, go look at what happened under the first Mayor Rummel. We lost Costco to Matawa. All right, and the previous mayor, who was Jim Preschlack's dad, was working on getting them into Lake Forest. So how many millions of dollars have we blown in tax revenue because the Costco got built on the other side of the tollway instead of our side of the tollway?
Well, plus Jason got a really nice office.
Jason could have had an office somewhere else. Thank you.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just saying that all the environmental arguments that they made against it were crap. all the, Costco is, there was actually just, if you go back and look at the news articles, there was a guy named Richard Phelan, who was the Cook County board president, and he somehow made his way to Lake Forest. He just passed away.
Yeah.
He says in one of the articles, Costco in Lake Forest is an oxymoron. And,
I've been called an oxymoron.
But I'm telling you, go over to that Costco and half the cars got Lake Forest City stickers on the window. So we blew it. So you want to go back to that? Do you want to go back to having an anti-business mayor? Do you want to go back? Do you want to go and do you want to have a mayor who is not respected by the police because they support people like Kim Phahl and Eric Reinhardt, who are truly disliked by the police officers around here?
You know what? And you know what? Mary Cole's going to lose. People, you know what? Something unfortunately bad is going to happen, like you said, for people to get off of their ass. To like, you know what? It doesn't affect me. I'm just going to let it go. I'll let these 132 people represent my feelings. That is so god awful, stupid. Now, all right, where do we go from here? Caucus is meeting Thursday. What are they going to meet about?
Well, I think we'll have to wait to see what they decide, but do they just go forward like they did with the Tack nomination and say, screw it?
What does it say in the bylaws?
That's the problem.
Sheila Henretta, bylaw expert.
It's like the chicken and the egg, right? Which came first? You can't do anything without the bylaws, but you can't change
It's a dodo bird. Extinct. Dumb. Ignorant.
I mean, we got a really good thing going here in Lake Forest. Why do we want to blow it?
They didn't get picked in gym class, and there's the reason why. They were afraid when it really mattered. All of them on that L42QB website, all of them had, with the exception of Trkla, who never volunteered for anything other than setting this thing up. They had a position in influence and did nothing. And this is what they're going to do. They're going to rile up 130 people to come up. Way to go. Here's your contribution. Melanie,
well, I think they're trying to set the stage for the mayoral election next year.
Yeah.
It's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
And
so, okay,
they've got a bull, just as they had a bullseye on Joe Aridi, they're going to have a bullseye on Randy Tack.
Yeah. Randy and his 11-minute meetings. That's my biggest beef with him. Randy, you suck.
That's not a beef.
Come on.
That shows you that things are getting done there, and you're not wasting their time with pontification like they had from a couple former aldermen that are no longer there.
I'm waiting for these L42Q people to throw out their Bushman or Rummel as the next president of the caucus. Did you see that? Oh my God. Because when you get down to it, what did Melanie really do? She volunteered her time, but what did they do? Both of those Rummels, again, you lost to Costco, but they didn't even manage the finances right. Is that correct?
Well, and she's also served on the school board, and I think there's some things you could pull in that record as well. I'm
like what? Okay.
Well, have her run, and we'll find out in the campaign when the negative ads come out. All right. I mean,
yeah, from a 501c3 that doesn't exist. Hey, Trkla.
No, from the caucus that does exist.
Yeah. Hey, Trkla, you better register that thing, baby.
But all this is doing, like you've said, is we're going to change it to where it's the person with the most money winning, right? Do you really want that? Is that a good idea? I don't think so. I don't think people should be able to buy an office like Prue tried to. She spent $200,000 of her own money, which I understand is like you or me spending $10.
Potato chips.
But she spent $200,000, and the caucus then had to go out and raise money. And then they criticized the caucus donors for giving them money. Like, well, why are they doing this? It's because you're spending all this money. I mean, come on. But is that where we want to go here? Do we want to make this where you just you write a check to become the mayor of Lake Forest? You write a check to become an alderman here? I don't think so. I don't think that's a very good public policy direction.
What are the taxes in Highland Park? maybe
A
Highland
lot
Park
higher
isn't
than
so-
here.
Okay, so maybe Highland Park isn't so bad. Okay. Snuff out small business, hate the cops, public safety. Do you want to be Highland Park? There's two reasons why people don't buy or influence, okay? They don't understand the offer or they're not sufficiently disturbed. And we got both of those things going on right now. People don't understand the caucus because they're too lazy to investigate it. And number two, they're not disturbed because everything's going well because of 98% of the vote. So you can have this 132 people, okay, that is 1/4% of the registered voters, depending on what the number is, but it's giving us 80% of the damn problems in what's going on. The risk, if this was a futures game, the future is at risk because of what these people are doing that really don't want to fix things, because I've witnessed it myself. Sheila Henretta, the bylaws, you opened them up and you did nothing to correct it. So they must have been okay underneath your watch because you are a self-professed expert on bylaws. As sitting in the meeting, I heard you say to my face and to your face, right, Joe? Yes.
She's an attorney. She served in the Pat Quinn administration. What a great governor he was. And yeah.
Susan Saylor Daly, ward chairman, that got to the executive committee, that could have done something for change and influence, who to my face, okay, turned down my suggestions and told me to be quiet. Okay. All right. Trkla again, nothing. Hasn't done anything. Chew gum, wipe nose. And the fourth person, I don't know. So we got the caucus meeting. So the caucus meeting we have going on Thursday, we'll see what comes out.
I guess we'll talk more about it next week, right?
We
Or in a
will.
future
And
show.
what's going to happen is, you know what? We're going to keep going. Joey Reedy's president. Change the bylaw.
Well, I mean, I just think it's really unfortunate that Joe is being singled out in this, because the guy did exactly what he was supposed to do as the leader of the caucus, and that was get their candidate elected. All right. But and try to fix the problem with the bylaw change. Now, so he's being punished, and this is a guy, he doesn't make a dime off of this. All right. And he's got a real job during the day, and he's got a family with kids and all this. And he's been involved in other things like Friends of the Parks.
Yeah.
And for them to do that to him,
Joe, I'm going to go back in time, look at the old podcasts. Thanks for tuning in, listening, watching. We'll get to, I don't know. There's no getting to the bottom of it. There's nothing that can happen other than it's a good time to have a podcast, I guess.
But I wish, like I said, I just wish somebody could tell me what the issue is. Give me a public policy issue that affects every resident of Lake Forest.
Start with Prue, okay, and we'll go. What were gender, right? Gender.
You've heard my response to that.
Okay, and then rounding up all the people that come in and crash the caucus vote. Those are two things.
But what is the issue? Okay, I would. Hey, look, if the town was being run poorly, I'd be with them running into and voting no at these meetings and stuff. But the town's being run great. Okay, and that's not by accident. Okay, that's because of this caucus system and these citizen volunteers and people like Mayor Tack.
You know what? Question for you, Joe. If that survey is so important, then why don't they make the people go into the Gorton Center to take the survey?
Because then you get like 300 people or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that look, again, I think you need to change the bylaws to either make it more easy to vote in these meetings, like remotely or absentee, whatever you want to call it, or let's go the other way, that if you're going to come, you got to sit and listen and participate in the annual meeting, and then you vote. Because all these people came in, voted, split. Nobody stayed for the annual meeting down the hall.
Joe, Another hour of my life I like to get back talking about this crap. Joe Reedy, good luck, dude.
Good man, Joe
Good.
Reedy. We love him.
Good.
We love Joe Reedy.
We do love Joe Reedy. And then Regina, I got to get to know her better because
She knows you. She came
Yeah,
right
when
up
I
to
was
you at the Gorton.
yeah, but she also knows me when I was piping up, pointing to issues, and I think she told me to be quiet. Just saying.
Well, I think there's a long list of people in your life, Pete, that have told you to
well,
be
I
quiet.
do have a certain way
So
of communicating directly and honestly and quickly. It's called candor. You know what happens in candor when you take the letter R out, Joe? Can do.
ooh, did you make that into a motivational poster at your desk?
I did back in the day. Oh, check this out. All right, podcast over. The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parnell has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit laracycpa.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, and J.M.